back. I think I'm back. There we go. I am so sorry. Now, are we back? Let's just see. Oh, there's nothing more infuriating than that, is there? For me, but especially for you. Okay, so I think I'm back. I think I'm back. Let me know if I'm back, and I am so sorry about that. My internet here is normally really reliable, but the last few weeks it seems to be flicking in and out. I know they have been doing some work, so I'm hoping that it's that, but it is very annoying. So hopefully, it looks like Mary's back with me. I do hope so. I hope you're there. So I'm going to keep sticking down pieces of paper and wait for somebody to tell me that they can still see me. It looks like Maureen's back. That's good news. Oh, so I do apologise for that. I said at the beginning, didn't I, that I hoped that we wouldn't lose things, but unfortunately we did, and that's never good. I'm back. Brilliant. Thank you, Mary. I'm hoping that everybody else will join me. I'm really sorry. They have been doing some work up the road on my internet, and I'm not sure if it's that or not. I don't very often get problems with the consistency of the internet, but the last few weeks it has dropped out several times, and it is really annoying. Thank you for coming back. That's something at least. Belinda's there too. Wonderful. All right, so let me quickly recap. I put glue all over my card. I gathered lots of strips of card and paper. I laid one down across the middle diagonally, put a couple at right angles, and then I'm just filling in the spaces by putting down strips of card and paper fairly randomly and just keeping in straight lines. So I'm just butting one piece up against the next door piece, and I'm trying not to think too much about what I'm putting where. Let's put that one there, and it doesn't matter that they're too long because I'm going to trim them off. So I filled in that space. Let me turn this round. So I'm now going to work parallel to this one. Now you can't do this wrong. If you're looking at this and thinking this looks a bit complicated and how will I know which section to do first, don't worry about it. Just pick up a piece of paper and lay it down so it's just touching one next to it, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything more complicated than that. So now I'm going to work on this section here. And it looks like Candy's back, Maureen's back, hooray! I'm so pleased. Thank you for sticking with me. It is so annoying, isn't it, when you're watching something and then it just disappears. So my apologies for the interruption, and let's hope we don't have any more problems. I just want a little tiny piece in there. I might use, is that, yeah, that's just wide enough. All right, so I'm just left with one more section here. So I can either keep working parallel to this one, in which case this strip would go on like that, or I can work parallel to this piece, so it would go like that, and I'm actually not sure which I want to do. So I think what I'm going to do is trim off the extra I've got on the back and then see what I think, see if that will give me a better idea. And it's very easy to do this on the back. I'm just running my scissors along and cutting off everything that is overlapping my white card on the back. And these strips, which are longish, can of course still be used again on another one of these. Now I could glue every strip before I put it down, but what I cut off would then be really gluey and it wouldn't be easy to use the useful length ones again, because they'd all be covered in glue and they'd all have fallen on my work surface, and that would be all gluey now as well. So I prefer to put the glue on my card layer. There we are. So that's where I am so far. And I think I'm going to work parallel to this one, I think. So let's have a look. What have we got here? Kay is back. Hello Kay, thank you for coming back, and I apologize for the interruption. It's really annoying. There we are. And if I wanted to, you know, I could put another piece off here and I could start working against that if I wanted to. I think I'm just going to keep going here because that's easy. But you can see that I haven't got a pattern going because the paper all comes from one pack, and the strips of card are all pieces which are colours listed on the paper pack, so I know it's all going to coordinate. I don't really have to think about which colour goes where. So we're just making a very random herringbone design. And the sizes of the pieces as well are completely random. I'm using some wide ones, some narrow ones. So you're bound to have pieces that you can use for this. And if you didn't, just cut some. Cut a whole load of pieces. These are anything from 1/8 of an inch up to, I would say, about 3/4 of an inch wide. If you're working on a bigger panel than this is just for a standard C6 card, but if you're working on something a bit bigger, you can get away with larger strips, wider strips. There we are. So that then is my finished panel. I've got a little rough edge there. There we are. So I've completely covered that with my strips, and now I've just got a coordinating card layer and card base to put these on. So again, I picked out two of the colours listed on the paper pack. I've got a Night of Navy layer and a Pacific Point card base. You can't do this wrong. You absolutely can't. Even if you just start with one strip going horizontally at the top and work your way down, it will still look really nice. But if you want to introduce the diagonals as I have, I think that makes it just a little bit more interesting. I'm going to put a sentiment on the front, but first of all let me do this insert. So I'm just going to pull out one more of these strips. Is that long enough? Yes, it is. And glue that down the edge. Getting near the bottom of my glue. Okay, let's pop that one in. All right, so I've got a couple of those little scrap rectangles of card here, and I'm thinking probably something like that. I think I quite like it at the bottom actually. And I wanted something that was just slightly bigger this time, so I've gone with this thanks here from Hand Penned Petals, but of course this would make a great birthday card. And I've just realised when I reset this, I've completely forgotten to press the mirror image thing, so everything that's words is going to be back to front. But we'll just carry on, I think. I'm not going to stop yet again. There we are. So there's a thanks. Let me shut that up before I lean in it, and then I'm just going to cut some banner ends into this side. So I'll cut off a little bit of the excess, and I'm just going to make a mark with my scissors where the center of that short edge is. So I'm using my grid paper here. Mark the center, and then I'm going to cut into the center and then cut from each point like that. And that means my top and bottom flag ends will be nice and even. And then finally, somewhere, these are the waves jewels which go with the Waves of the Ocean suite. So these again are only available until Tuesday. So let me just have a look at these. Pop a couple of these on, I think. I'll go with a dark blue one. And a paler blues. These are just so lovely. I love the colours on these. There we are. So just a scatter of those. And there we are. That is our herringbone design made just with scrappy strips of paper and card. Oh, and that's not in shot again, is it? It's because I've forgotten. No, I can't make that any better. I've forgotten to turn the mirror in, so I'm sorry. That is thanks back to front. Which is not helpful, but I'm not going to stop everything just to reset that for a couple of minutes. I know that you will bear with me. And then finally, I promised I would show you what to do with a tiny scrap of ribbon. So I've got a couple of these little scraps of ribbon in my ribbon jar. It's such pretty ribbon, I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Even I can't tie that in a bow. It's just too short. However, you can use it with a tag. Now these happen to be some die cut tags that I had left over. So what I'm going to do is thread the ribbon through like that. So I'm literally just threading it through as if that was the eye of a needle. And then I'm going to take a piece of something else that is long enough to tie into a bow. So I've got some white baker's twine here, but I could use linen thread. I could use another ribbon. And what I'm going to do is wrap it around behind both parts of the ribbon and tie a bow. And it's a little bit fiddly to start with, because you need to keep the ribbon inside the twine. There we go. But once you've tied a knot, it all holds it together. Let me see if I can show you that. So that twine is wrapped around the ribbon. The ribbon is just threaded through the knot. The twine is wrapped around the ribbon and I've tied a single knot in it. And I'm going to turn that into a bow. And so my twine will hold the ribbon in place. I could tie the twine in a knot instead of a bow. It doesn't have to be a bow. And then I'm just going to tweak the ends, get it straight, trim the ends of the twine, and then trim the ends of the ribbon. And so there we are. I've now been able to use that piece of ribbon. on a tag, and that's ready to go on a parcel or a box, or for me to stamp on it and pop it on a card front. There we are. So let me try and clear a space. Ooh, I've got my sticky silicone mat here. If you didn't see me do this last week, this is probably the most satisfying thing of all when you've used it for gluing. Because the multi-purpose glue is rubber based, you can just roll it all off and the mat ends up lovely and clean for next time. There we are. So that's all the glue. I'm just going to brush those little bits of glue into my bin, and then it's nice and ready for another go. Right, so let's then bring in everything we've done today. So I started out with just rummaging through my scrap box for die cuts and bits and pieces. And then I used, actually let me put them up that way. There we go, that's better. Cut out some patchwork pieces for you. I'm just checking, yeah, that's better. There's still, the words are still back to front, but at least things are up the right way for you. And then we did some herringbone strips, and then finally I used up a scrappy little piece of ribbon with a tag by just threading it through and then adding some twine. There we are. Right, I'm going to quickly just turn the camera back to me so I can say a proper goodbye. Hopefully I will be up the right way. So Carol's saying bye-bye. Thank you, Carol. Maureen said it was good ideas. I'm so pleased. I'm really pleased. You're very welcome, Karen and Mary. If I've given you some ideas, I'm absolutely delighted. I'm sorry about the interruption in broadcast. I really have my fingers crossed that we will not have any issues next week. But I hope that some of you will be able to join me on Tuesday at 2 o'clock for the catalogue launch. And if you can't, do pop back here and watch the recording of it, or over on YouTube as well. And I will hopefully see you some or all of Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday afternoons next week at 2 o'clock. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much, Maureen. And whatever you're doing, I hope you have fun. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.